Hello fellow app music makers, Jay here from App Music Tutorials, and welcome to Lesson 10. Yes, we're finally in the double digits, so thanks for your support. In Lesson 9 we talked about how to add a Labs by Spitfire Audio free VST instrument to your Zenbeats productions to get a great realistic violin sound. If you happen to have missed that video, then click on the card appearing right about now on the upper right to check that out. In this lesson, we're going to focus our attention on how to incorporate the free version of the world's most advanced software sampler, Kontakt Player, by Native Instruments. And we're going to learn how to incorporate that into our Zenbeats productions. So in the process, you'll also learn how to get a bunch of free sounds to use with Kontakt Player. You may be asking yourself, Jay, why do I need to know about such things? Doesn't Zenbeats already have a ton of cool features and sounds? Yes, Zenbeats comes with a boatload of tools and sounds, and you can even purchase additional content through the shopping cart. But if you really want your productions to stand out, you shouldn't be limiting yourself to just what's available in the app. If you want to broaden your horizons as a producer by, let's say, adding strings, grand pianos, brass sections, African or Latin percussion, guitar, orchestra, and any other types of amazing synths and sounds, then you should become familiar with VST instruments, many of which are absolutely free. And in my opinion, free is good. Free allows you to try things out, see how you like the sounds, and many VST developers offer freebies to let potential buyers get a taste of what the plugin offers before they buy. Let's direct our browsers to native-instruments.com, where I'll show you how to get a great collection of free virtual synths and instruments, loops, effects, and other free content from this cutting-edge company. So Native Instruments is one of the biggest players in the music production game. It's a company in Berlin, Germany, who've been on the forefront of virtual instrument and sampling technologies since 1996. The Native Instruments ecosystem is really complex, very vast, very deep, as they are a leading manufacturer of both software and hardware for computer-based audio production and DJing. So we're going to go to Products on the top there. And then here, we're going to scroll down a bit until you see an option that says Complete Start. So there are other paid options that are very robust. They're professional level and semi-professional level producers. But we're going to click on the Complete Start option here. And so what you get basically is a free production suite. Tons of sounds, tons of instruments, lots of goodies free of charge. And so if you are, chomping at the bit, you can probably start right away by clicking the button here. But let's take a little bit more of a look at what you get. So we get a ton of synthesizers and synth presets for free. We are going to get a number of VST instruments ranging from really cool pads to lush environments to really bizarre sounds to straight ahead 5-pieced band type of instruments. And then we also get some pro-grade effects, a couple of different pro-grade effects, and then a ton of different loops and samples. So one of the things that's great is that we're going to get that Kontakt Player as part of the deal. So in order to get all of this, you have to register with the Native Instruments site. You have to get an account there, and there are a couple ways to do that. One way is to go up to the little silhouette on the upper right and just click on that, and that's going to give you a way to register right here on this site. Another way is if you are going to use this, you're going to want to download the Native Instruments app in either Mac or Windows versions respectively. And during that install, you'll register for a new account that way if you prefer. And here, as I scroll, you can see a number of different steps involved in installing, registering, all that kind of fun stuff. Why don't you go ahead and work out the details on getting that all set up on your system, come right back, and I'll show you how to utilize all that great new free VST technology. If you're still with me, great job so far. Here I am in Native Access, and what we need to do is figure out where those VST files are located. So Native Access is Native Instruments software management and licensing tool, and here you can add serial numbers manually. You can see what's installed, what's not installed. You can update when updates are available. And in order to see the path to where those VST files are located, we have to go to the silhouette option and then choose preferences. And then once we choose preferences, we can see exactly where the VST instruments, where those files are located for the 64-bit and 32-bit environments. So now that we've located where these are, the next step is to go into Zenbeats and make sure that our plugin area is mapped correctly. Here in Zenbeats, we need to map the Native Instruments VST directories to make the instruments available for use. To do that, we're going to go to the main menu and select Settings, and then Plugins. And then here is where we need to add the directories for our Native Instrument plugins. And so once the directories are mapped, we're good to go and click Scan for New. If I need to add a directory, there's an Add option here. And it looks a little different, but it's the same premise as Windows Explorer. You kind of drill down, if you will, and locate the directories that you want this way. And once you've discovered them, you can click OK. In this case, I'm going to cancel. But that's how you can map the directories here. And I've already got mine mapped. But here I'm going to click Scan for New, and that's what you'll do. Mine doesn't find any new plugins. That's what I expected to happen. But yours will start to scan and discover a number of plugins, hopefully. And then you'll be able to, once it's done, click OK. And then those plugins will now be ready for use. Those VST instruments will be ready for use. And now the moment we've all been waiting for: how do we use Kontakt Player in Zenbeats? So I've opened up the Hip Hop Studio template. I'm going to disable the key lock, and I'm going to delete a few of these tracks just to clear up the clutter. Now I'm going to insert a new track, an instrument track, and off to the right I can see all of my instruments. I'm going to narrow that down to just the VST2. And there are a couple of flavors of Kontakt depending on whether you're using a 64-bit or 32-bit environment. I'm going to grab the one that doesn't say 32-bit because I'm using a 64-bit environment. And now here is Kontakt. Now Kontakt again is like the best software sampler you can get. It's full-featured, it's robust. And what I have is the full version. You are going to have Kontakt Player, and the functions that we're going to cover are all going to be the same, regardless of whether you're using the full version of Kontakt or the free version of Kontakt Player. So one thing you want to do is make sure you've got your keyboard exposed. And if you try to play anything at this point, like if I try to click a note, no sound comes out because I don't have anything loaded. So here's the player, here's the Kontakt Player, and now I have to actually load in a sound. So let me grab the funk drums here. And here's kind of what it sounds like. And you can see below that they're on the keyboard, you can see like color-coded keys. It's kind of mapping, letting you know that each section has a specific use. So we have these sections again, and the first section is just a bunch of claps. Then we move on to our kick, our snares, our toms, our hats, and some of the other kit pieces that one would find in an average drum. sampler. And so this last little bit down here, you can actually just hold down a note and it'll loop through a really cool rhythm. So I'm just holding down a note, it's playing through. Pretty cool. So now I'm going to play in a part using my instrument. And again, I'm just holding down one finger on one note and it's playing a loop. So it's not going to paint out the MIDI notes in the loop. It's just one note, one long line. And let's just take a look. It's one long line. And I don't need a whole 4 measures of, of notes. I'm just going to shore that up to just one bar and leave it at that. And again, it's just one note triggers that entire loop to play. Let's move on and add another track. And this will be another Kontakt instrument. And this time around, we're going to go back to the factory selection and grab a bass. I'm just dragging it out. I can double click to load, but I'm just dragging it out. Now I've got the funk bass loaded. All right, well that sounds okay. Let's suppose I want to try out a different sound. Here's a mistake a lot of people make. They double click, and what happens is it adds a new instrument entirely to Kontakt. And if you start to try to play notes, there's not going to be any input coming through. It came through because I was clicking, but when I hit my MIDI keyboard, there's no throughput there. There's only throughput when I hit my MIDI keyboard in the funk bass. So that's a mistake people make. I'm going to delete that by clicking the X. Now, if all I want to do is swap out the sound, it's way easier. All I have to do is click and drag and then just drop that right on top the existing patch, and it swaps it out. I think I'll go back to the funk bass. Just dragging and dropping right on top. All right, so it's time to lay a bass line. Just played in several measures by hand, and I really only need one, so I'll shore it up just to one measure. I'm going to bring it in, bring the start point in so it ends up being a measure, but it turns out this is the section I think looks the best and will play back the way I want it to with the right feel. So there is my new loop. And sure enough, it cycles through seamlessly. Let's add one more track here, another Kontakt instrument. And here I'm going to go to the Play Series selection, and we're going to grab the hybrid keys. and I'm just double clicking. It'll load that in there. So I like the muted keyboard options they've got here. So let me go ahead, let me perform in a track. I'll just stretch this last note out so it's seamless. Let's take a listen. So you've just learned how to extend the power of Zenbeats by adding third-party VST instruments, and you learned a bit about native instruments and how to get the complete start package, and you learned about the need to map the VST directories to Zenbeats so that Zenbeats can find them and make those instruments accessible when you need them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, I highly encourage you to leave it in the comments area. And if you'd like to see more Zenbeats videos, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and take care until next time.